welcome to Market Lens, where we deep dive into conversations that shape and build our financial futures. My name is Chisom Chiomba, and today's conversation is going to be an interesting one. We're going to be discussing something that's going to be deep and resonates deeply with all parents and caregivers. Our topic today is building financial literacy in kids. So today we're joined by a diverse panel. First, we have Tombra Ebibai, a wealth advisor of over 11 years experience in the investment industry. He is also a proud father of 2 beautiful children. Tombra, welcome to the conversation today.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you. And next we have Regina Onzuriki. I have to take my time with that, right? So she's an accounting professional, also with several years of experience in financial service, and has a head start on raising intentional children for the next generation. So welcome, Regina. Glad to have you in the conversation. Yeah. So today we're just going to dive into it, right? We're going to talk about building financial literacy in children. And I just want to have your heart on this because what we're doing here today is quite intentional. A lot of us didn't have that privilege growing up, right? So these conversations are going to be as practical as we can make it and also as relatable. So I'll start with you, Tombra. What would you say is your first experience of money, and what do you think, like your earlier days, how you first encountered your experience with money?
My first feel of money was when growing up as a child. I used to remember I have an elder sister. She would probably give us a tax. Then at the end of the tax, she gave us 2 kobo.
2 kobo.
Popular chocolate. I call it chocolate in today's world, but at that point, we don't call it chocolate, we call it sweet. So that was my first feel of money. So that what gave me that impression that if I have to make more money to enjoy buying more sweet. So I'm always open to any tax from my elder sister.
I understand what you mean. Like when I was growing up, I think the first experience I had of money was when I was in secondary school. So we never touched money growing up. We never had like money handed to us. It was like a taboo then. And that's like what I grew up in terms of personal upbringing. So when I finally got to have money in my hand, it was like, my goodness, this is money. Do you understand? So it's the way my parents brought us up.
I know the first experience I had, like, okay, there's this popular, they will call it ice cream, some people call it popsicles, but then we call it condensed. I knew that, okay, I'll do my friend, they will have 1 or 2, and I'll have to like save 1 or 2 days school money to be able to buy one for myself. I felt like, this thing, why are others having this and I can't just get it just when I want to? So it made me conscious about having money to be able to, get things that I crave.
Yeah.
So I think that was the first experience. Then when I had this gift from my elder sister, they will call it Kolo, what they call piggy bank. I just knew that, okay, this would help me meet my end goal. So for every 5 naira, 10 naira that I'll get as pocket money going to school, I would save and save. And funny enough, at the end of the day, it shifted from being condensed to having plenty money. Just I'm a big madam. So yeah, I think that's my.
Okay, I think like the first thing that I noticed, or one important thing that you guys talked about that I want to bring focus to is the fact that Choma mentioned that his sister would give him money and he would give him money for tasks.
Yeah.
And the other I mentioned that he was saving money
To get
to get things. I don't think really in 2025 that's not the realities of a lot of the children nowadays, right? So with that, that's the kind of conversation that I want to have. This important one that has to do with money concepts, the concept of value. Because like then, when I mentioned that I was having to handle money for the first time, it gave me that sense of, oh my God, this is money. I won't say reverence, but I actually respected the currency at the time. But now, that's not the same for children nowadays. So with that said, like, I mean, Regina, with your experience at Expo, in financial services, you have a basic concept, you have more than basic information of how we should create and build financial concepts, money concepts in children. So how would you speak to that in today's day?
Well, I feel like most times, right, when that needs to have money comes, it's usually what's the word now? It's usually stirred by a desire to get something.
Yeah.
So if there is a need or something you really, really want, that instinct will naturally just come like, okay, how do I get this? I don't have the resources now. What do I do to be able to afford this? So most times, usually something you crave, something you want, but you can't afford to get at that point in time. That is where you now realize that, okay, maybe I need to save some cash or some few naira notes to be able to afford this and afford that. And from there, you just find yourself wanting more and wanting to like put more aside for maybe other needs, because once one need is satisfied, definitely more needs will come.
Yeah.
Like, you know what they say, humans are insatiable, wants are limitless. So when you satisfy this one, okay, another one comes and like that. So I feel that is just the basics.
Tomba, I'll switch gears to you now. With you that has children that doesn't understand those concepts, how can we begin to build the concept of we need to start saving, we need to start building for the future. We need to start building to be able to cater for those money, because now it's more like, Daddy, I want this, and it appears. We need this, and it shows up. They don't necessarily value the concept of money. I'll be like, okay, this is something we work for, that we earn, in order for those things to actualize.
I think for me, it's more intentional than passive. I have a kid now, and I try to also teach him. Is when I go out to work, that is when I make money. So there are some days we ask, Daddy, I will not be able to buy pizza because you've not gone out to work for money. And you know, like I tell people, you need to teach children the art first before the concept of money.
Okay, what does that look like?
What I'm saying is, you know, as a kid, I'll give you a practical example. If you're born into a Christian home, for the fact that you can pray very well, it doesn't mean that you're deep rooted in the Word of God. Praying is more like an act for you because you were born into it. You saw your parent praying in the morning, then later in the day. So while you were growing up, you now understood the reason why we should pray. And so it's the same thing for the concept of money. Let them understand the act for them. While they're growing up, questions will start coming from them. So, what's this concept of money? What is money meant for? I've been doing this all this while and I've not understood why I have to do this. So, for me, try and inculcate this into your routine. Introduce money to your children. Like sometimes when I go out for grocery, I go with my boy. I'll tell him to pick what he wants. So a few times we've gone out, he understood the concept. And when you pick, you don't need to consume immediately. You need to take it to the counter to pay. I think there was a time that I took in there. He took from there. I was expecting to just consume it. No, he took it to the counter. So he understood that money has to be exchanged.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you train up the child in that manner, it's easier for financial literacy for them because and you start introducing the concept of savings, start introducing the concept of budget.
Yes.
Investing.
But you know, budget is more like futuristic. Your estimated expense and estimated revenue.
Yeah.
So even in how they're growing up now, they do it. They will tell you, Daddy, tomorrow you buy me pizza. It's part of budgeting too. So let you also understand that he has budgeted that by tomorrow when you're after service, you buy him pizza. So it's also a financial concept for the child. Child understand that it's not something I can get immediately, but I have to wait and get it tomorrow. So when you start teaching them those little concepts and allow them to grow to the point that they will be the one to ask you, Daddy, what I've been doing this thing now, I don't really understand this, I've been doing for ages. At that point, you can just give them the full concept of money.
Yeah, I agree with what you said. So at what age do you think is like the most appropriate for them to begin to understand these hard conversations? Because I mean, 2 is too young to me. But there are concepts that you can introduce as early as for them to begin to understand those conversations.
Let me ask you this question.
Right.
At what point do you realize that your 1 year baby can call you mama or can call dad?
I think 1 year old can call
So at what point you can never really it was at this time so day that my child called dad. So the message I'm trying to pass is keep saying it. The child will grow into it and you will grow into it and start acting the way you want the child to, the way you want the child to be acting it. Because if you're waiting for a time when you probably introduce to the child, you might not have that luxury of time. So it's something that you have to be intentional, inculcate into your routine, and it'll be very flexible for you. You will be very flexible. When you wait for when my child is 4, you know how the way time fly. Nobody have the luxury of time. You might not be there in that 4 years. Maybe other engagement might take you out. So when you keep doing something over and over, it becomes you. It becomes you. So you should make it to become you. So the child will just see you that as an embodiment of knowledge, and it will just pick from there.
Right now, in your own view, like your parents when they were bringing, because he just gave the aspect of parenting, very important. Now, in your view, when you were being brought up from the aspect of your parents, how they instilled, what do you feel that they instilled in you that probably you would also pass on to your kids?
The concept of delayed gratification.
Wow.
So the thing is, we all need to delayed gratification because I believe that sometimes you have to teach these kids hard lessons because I learned that and it shaped me. And even till now, I still carry it everywhere I go, right? So make them understand that you can't always get what you ask for immediately. Sometimes you have to wait and work for it and maybe time. And you find a way to relate that time frame to earning or doing something to get that money. So when they start understanding that delayed gratification, like you can't always get what you want when you want it, I feel that is the perfect time to, introduce that to them. So even when they want to get something and they understand the fact that, okay, this will not just come because I want it to come just now. I have to do certain things. I have to wait for a period of time to be able to earn this. Mm-hmm. So they may not really understand it in terms of adults making money, but eventually it makes sense to them and they'll be able to apply it to saving, investing.
Discipline.
Yes.
More around for everybody because you can't say as an adult I have all the money and then decide to finish it. That's exactly. I mean, it doesn't make sense financially. And I think another thing that's very important for students that Tomba mentioned, he talked about he has seen his father and then he's seen his father as a body of knowledge. So emulating is very important as kids. I think it's like when they see the good people, the right attitude, the right mindset, the right way of life generally. So they are able to
naturally
with parts. It's very important. Right. I agree with you. Regina mentioned something about money skills. I'd like to talk about that a little bit. Like I said, Regina, you have the financial experience / expo. A lot of us don't have. Some of us, we have experience in the healthcare, we have experiences in hospitality, in IT, all of them. But I feel like you have a special edge, a special head start.
Interesting.
When you are in finance, yeah. So I think like maybe you want to give us a bit of expo on that in terms of the kids. I know these days we are going fully digital. We are talking about having proper money management, budgeting, all those things for kids in 2025. What do you think starting in the first place, how would that look like?
Okay, so my own plan, for example,
Okay.
I don't have children yet. But the plan is I'm going to even create like trust funds for them. So when they get to a particular age, they'll be able to, after much education, because I mean their mom is a finance expert, so they have to be, even if they are not going to be gurus or whatever, but they will have basic knowledge about these things. Now, looking at my own childhood, right?
Culture or a lot of the money, some of the parents that are out there don't necessarily understand trust fund. Why trust fund? Why not mutual fund? Why not something starting? My understanding of trust fund is like it's for company, it's for why trust fund?
Okay, the concept of trust means you are creating a portfolio for, maybe there are different types of trust. There's children endowment fund. That one is something that has to do with maybe you want to save towards your child's education, right? Okay, so even before the child comes, you set up that account.
Okay.
And there's maybe a standing order at your bank at every maybe 12th of every month. These accounts will be credited with this. And you submit things like your, maybe eventually when the child comes, you submit things like the birth certificate and all those things, such that when the child gets to a certain age, because it has to do with, it looks like let's say will, but not will, because this is a living being that we are talking about. So there is a transfer of that portfolio to the child, because the initial goal for that product is for you to be able to transfer eventually to your child, compared to when you open the account with your name and every other thing, then you want to give. This one, it is for the child. You get? So when the child takes over, it is now in his name, not your name being passed down to the child. So you are setting the child for maybe financial, maybe whatever, let's say plans or goals you have for the child, even before the child comes. So that's what trust is. There is children endowment, there is private trust, corporate trust, and some other product, but it has to do with creating these things third party, such that when it's time for them to take over that product, it will be very easy to transfer it.
Okay.
So that's what the trust.
So that would be the edge that trust fund has over, let me see, versus creating mutual funds on behalf of your child, or a dependence that is for you. So if I was to say, okay, I'm not going to open a mutual fund for you, I'm going to open trust for you. It's better. Which one would you say is better?
So can I respond to?
Okay. Yeah.
You see, let me make it straight and very easier to understand. You can see how a trust fund, and the SPV, that is the purpose special vehicle of that trust fund, will be invested in the mutual fund.
Special vehicle.
What I'm saying is, a trust is not mean your Chisom, I'm your son, I'm Tom. Now I'm setting money aside for Tom. When Tom is of age, Tom will have X amount of money that I can use to either run his educational. So you're just setting that money. So that money being there, it will not yield interest. You will not yield interest if that money not invested. So that money can also be invested in mutual fund.
So for trust, most times.
So it can also be invested in. No, you can also invest trust.
So most times when trusts are set up, it's not saving money in the bank actually.
It's not saving.
So it's actually investing the funds.
It's an investment fund.
Yeah. So trust is better. Why would I say that? Because you have already done the documentation in advance. So even if the person dies, right, there will be no debate about who goes to what. And there will be no debate about maybe the child wants to take money from that trust for something else other than what it was set up for.
Okay.
So it is strictly for that purpose. And there will be no argument of next of kin, whatever. Because from the get-go, it was set up for this child for this purpose.
And next of kin cannot behave anyhow. This kind of anyway, that's very, very interesting. I mean, at this point, it's more like I was actually under the understanding that mutual funds, trusts, they are all the same instruments. And I've actually opened mutual funds for my children individually. And this is just to set them up for university because I feel like at the time that they are ready to enter university and all those things, inflation, all of those criteria would have been so,
Eroded value.
impactful that I mean, let's just start early. So you can say that the trust will give it the that would make a lot of sense. All right. So for good financial behaviors in yourselves, what do we see in ourselves as good financial behaviors that our children can imbibe? For me, I see myself as a good manager. When I say manager, manage money. Because I have my lists, I have my budgets, I have this is what the money is for, this is what the money is for, and I put money ahead for specific reasons because I feel like this is the money that we need when the time comes, right? So when my children look at me, they can say, okay, mom is a good money manager, right? As opposed to spending money ridiculously. She has put money out for this investment, that investment. She has put money down for groceries, whatever, those kind of things. And she has even put money down for investment. Right? Those things are key. So what would you say? Like, let me start with you, Regina. What do you think?
I'll call myself an aggressive investor. So I think even my spouse, sometimes he tells me a lot that ever since, the first time we met, that is one thing I really took from him. I've learned to be a better, let's say, beyond managing my money, like growing my money. Right. So it's not about just taking money. I always think of ways to ensure that that place I've taken from, how will that pause repay itself?
Wow.
So for me, it's beyond savings.
Sorry. Before we go on, just expand a bit on that. How will it pay itself? That's very important.
Thank you. So that's where investing comes in. And there are different types, right? There is stock market, there is fixed income market, money market investment. So for example, if I take money from my mutual fund or from my fixed deposits, I know that maybe the rest, they are still going to earn interest.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm taking and it's going to be like that.
Or you've taken it out and it ends that
No.
investment. Okay.
So what it will earn again, and it would replace what I've taken without me actively being involved in it. That's for mutual fund. Then when it comes to the stock market, of course, you have to monitor the market fundamentals and the fundamentals of companies. Okay. Sometimes I look out for dividend paying stocks. So, okay, if I'm hoping to get capital appreciation from the stocks I bought, then I expect to get dividend income. So even if I'm taking this, I know that there's capital appreciation happening to that stock.
Yeah.
And I may decide to reinvest my dividend or, spend it. Because the person that works must eat.
Of course.
Obviously. So I look for ways to, even if I'm spending, right, will that pause work and replace what I've taken? So for every budget I try to take or whatever plan or big purchase I want to, get for myself, I set it in such a way that, okay, how long would it take for this thing to be replaced? Right? With me not necessarily working actively or passively getting back what I've taken from it. So most times that's the mindset I have towards anything I do. It's just I don't know.
That's very something for us to take away today. That's actually very insightful. So, Mr. Tombra, what would you say? Looking at words after this profile, I don't think anybody can come up with this. After what Brendan said, I'm still hopeful. What do you think?
Well, for me, I'm not an aggressive investor.
Yeah, aggressive investor.
I'm not an advanced lender.
Risk averse.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm a balance. I'm in between high
and risky.
So for what I do, for me, I look for those investments that can be able to edge inflation.
Okay.
For me, and I have to have diverse investment. So I can decide to go into real estate, if I'm looking at 10, 20 years, because I'm looking at the long run. I'm not going to a real estate investment when I'm looking 2-3 years to cash out. I'm not going to that investment. I'd rather go into a fixed income or I'm going to mutual fund, open-ended funds, do this type of investment. So, like I said, or another thing, I know the question you asked was how do you
Your financial behavior.
behavior? Then another thing over time that I've done for myself, because I know I'm not good at having access to cash. Not very.
That's what you call self-awareness, actually.
My own approach to the long-term plan is not I have to wait for 10 years to be able to accumulate this much fund. That is why I am more interested in the stock market, right? Compared to like mutual funds and let's say fixed income. Because I remember one of my like calling my boss now said that actually changed my mindset of investing, especially in the stock market. What he told me then was, because one day he just called me, Regina, so this plenty money you're always taking home every month, so what do you use it for? When I mentioned that, okay, I first of all save some in mutual fund, then I budget a plan around whatever that is left after I've taken out my savings. And you're like, it's good, but it could be better. I'm like, okay, this is investing. What are you talking about? Well, like, for mutual fund, for fixed income, your returns are limited or fixed, and the risks are limited too. But for the stock market, your returns is limitless, even though the risk is limitless.
Yes.
And it's shocking because I'm like, okay, if I'm going to be doing fixed income, you're telling me 20%. I'm not expecting anything extra.
Yeah.
But in the stock market, I think that is one thing. Sometimes I hear people say you cannot become a millionaire overnight, but I think it has happened a lot of times in the stock market.
Well, as regards the long-term investment strategy, that is different between yourself and Tomra in terms of how your outlook is. How would you say that comes in?
Okay, so maybe it's because, like I mentioned, right? I'm looking at aggressive investing because maybe it's because my startup capital is not so much. So I'm looking at the fastest possible way to grow it to the level that I feel like, okay, this is now big enough to generate maybe a steady monthly, should I say weekly, not monthly, every 2 months kind of returns. Because if I'm looking at, okay, I want to plan around my expense and say it's 1 million every month. And if I have a capital of say 2 million, I don't expect that 2 million to be giving me 1 million every month. So I thought about what way is possible to make this capital grow like really fast, because you cannot really predict the market like that. For the stock market, anything can happen. So most times I try as much as possible to take positions. That's why I call myself an aggressive investor. I invest more in the stock market because I know that the returns could be limitless compared to the fixed return you get in safer investment options like mutual fund and fixed income.
I agree. I completely agree with you. It's very important. And then I'd like to bring it down to the kids, how we can really get these lessons across to them. Right? So this is when I would talk about teachable moments, right? When we were young, there are some of our parents that lost their job and they had nothing to fall back on. Some of us were the results of those kind of families, and they didn't have this kind of information that we have at our fingertips for them to have fallback, right? But now it's a changing environment, a much different climate. So much information is out there. We're able to make informed decisions and all of that. So teachable moments to our kids. You mentioned something very, very important, Tomra, concerning like you don't, obviously with age, you have those differences in asset classes that make up for. I mentioned a very good example concerning people that lost their jobs and then their families are suffering.
Yeah.
So for the kids, what would you say like teachable lessons Because, I mean, some people are parents for the first time and they don't know that this is when. No, I'm not referring to you. Some people, some other people in the other end of the screen. So they need to be. I know it's very important to be intentional when raising children. So teachable moments that you can impact on your kids, so that it's not that they're learning from experience. It's that my father was there or my mom was there to give them. What do you think?
For me, I always have this opinion to teach your children the diverse ways of life. Very sweet part of life.
Concerning, yeah, very important.
Your side of life.
Yeah.
That's you're saying your worst scenario. Nobody prays for it, but like I usually say, nobody has control of events. Event can just happen to anybody. So we should always teach our children to be prepared.
Yes.
So, like for me, one thing I've inculcated my child is to be independent. My child is 4 plus. I can be upstairs and you find downstairs. Why? But why am I going to be teaching how to be independent? Your mommy or your daddy will always be there. So something that you need to teach them: independence, financial literacy. That one's very key. Like I said, don't wait for when the child is 3 or 4. Start it as early as possible.
Yeah.
So let it be something that's in you. When something is part of you, at any time it will always radiate, it will always reflect on the children's life. So start teaching them, start taking them out, start taking them to the bank. So the first thing you can teach a child when you take them to the bank, this way will come to keep our money. And at their level, they will understand, if I have money, I'm going to keep it in the bank. So as time progresses, humanity is beyond keeping your money. There's an interest in the bank will pay you for keeping that money. So that's an incentive to that child. So you can also tell that child, okay, if you have that incentive, you that like chocolate, how do you feel that you have extra money? That's not the money you originally kept to buy your chocolate. You see, the child will start having an open mind. So let me go and keep money. So financial literacy, yes, start teaching them early. Budgeting, start teaching them early. Savings and investment, start teaching. You can't teach child investment.
You can't.
You can't teach another level. Like what I always tell you. Just introduce the app to them. Then when time progresses, you can give them the full concept of it.
Thank you so much. I think before I go to Regina, I think one teachable moment for me that I've learned with my kids is the act of giving. The value of giving, being generous.
Yeah.
So we practice this usually on their birthdays. So it's more that concept of birthdays, right? Everybody is giving me, everybody's buying a gift for me, what have you done? So to reduce and break down the mindset of entitlement, or it is just about you, I usually take them, people around the neighborhood or people in your school, immediate school, so let's give them something. So let's package this for them, and it's them that will give them themselves, not just use them. They will carry it. Auntie, this is for you. And you see the joy, you see the happiness when they go, this auntie said thank you that they gave them. I remember the first time my son earned, I think it was 500 naira. And he was like, I don't know what happened. He just told me, Mommy, I want to give it to Peter. Peter is the person that is in their school. And I was like, wow. We're doing something right. But I don't know why, but he just wanted to give it to him. And the day he gave it to him, I wasn't in school to pick them up that day, but he came back, he was so excited. Mr. Peter said, thank you. I said, are you serious? So that is something that it always plays back in my head and even incentivizes me more to say that I want to make this intentional about them giving. So that it shifts the focus from them to other people, right? So For you, Regina, was it like when you were growing up, so your parents in this thing, different diverse forms of art, or there was something about their upbringing that influenced your upbringing now? What would you say that you, them bringing you up, them, training you, how would you say that has shown up in your present day?
Like I mentioned before, right, it's still the concept of delayed gratification, because a lot of times, I didn't always get what I wanted growing up. That was just the truth. And to be honest, because to be honest, my parents were not so financial literacy people. I was like, even my growing up, I think I learned about investing much. Will I say, like, I don't want to say late.
Okay.
And it was felt by a need, like I mentioned, right? I think it was, I think after I finished my NYSC, right? Thinking about the different job interviews I'll have to go for and all that. And I didn't have I wouldn't have the resources to do all that. So that was the mindset I had even before I started the NYSC program. Save up every 10,000 every month, so that by the time you get to the end of the program, you'll be able to cater to these things, cater for yourself. If you want to go for this interview, this outfit and that outfit, you'll be able to fund for these things. But even beyond that, I was still a bit scared, because that was the era of MMM and the crashing of it. I was like, these people. So, and do you know the funny thing? They called it investing. They called it investing. I'm like, but you people, what are they doing to get this money?
The online investment.
So that was actually one of the reasons I didn't really like investing at the start, because maybe because I didn't have the right information then. Then it crashes, and I went to those people and said, I told you, you were investing, now you have lost everything. Here I was telling you that the return of your money is better than the returns on your money. But see, both the returns, both the capital, nothing. At least even though I'm not getting any interest, but at least I still have my capital.
Yeah.
But I think the moment I understood that, okay, that was not investing, was when I actually joined the financial services space. Yeah. Then I could see figures. I could substantiate where this earning was coming from.
Wow.
I could understand financial statements and seeing the profit after tax for this year, last year, benchmarking against this company and that company, why I should invest in this one rather than that one. And that was the turnaround point for me. I think that was in 2021. So that was actually something I feel if I had gotten earlier,
Wow.
I would have been maybe a mini dance with it.
So one of my takeaway is that your exposure was key.
Yeah.
Your exposure was
Yeah.
key. So if you had gotten earlier, see, you said you'd be mini dance. It's more like, if I didn't have that exposure, I wouldn't be where
I am. So I would be really very intentional with the kind of network I would,
beautiful.
make available for my kids. Because I knew if I had gotten that early enough, I would have been better than.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's profound. Thank you so much. That's actually very, very important. Network, like you said, that makes way for our kids, because we are building the next best generation, right? That's okay. Right. Just to wind down a bit, because we've really reached the crux of this conversation. We've had so much information right here. It's like blowing my mind, the kind of talks that we're having here. So we just want to have a quick rapid fire round, right? So I'll ask a question just to give the preface of this round now. So I'll ask a quick question, and then you guys can give me your feedback and why, right? So for our kids, for our intended kids, do you believe in pocket money or earning your money? Regina first. Okay, I didn't think so. Why?
Because I think it will make them appreciate these things more. If you have to work for, like, if you know the kind of work you put into something, then you know that you cannot spend this in anyhow. Because you think about the sweat.
Yeah.
You not necessarily make them suffer for it, but make them work for it.
I agree. Well, I agree. Don't get me wrong. I agree with you. But it's more like we want to be as these new age parents. We don't want to suffer our children.
No, I'm not
saying that. I'm not saying they're not going to learn. I'm just saying like it's more like again, nurture, gentle parenting versus, So it's more like at one point we say we love you. We want you to have these things. We don't want you to struggle too much. Not struggle too much. Because when you're saying they must earn everything, I mean, do you understand? So you've said they must, but then, Sombra, what you say?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
You cannot build something on nothing.
Okay.
You're teaching somebody financial literacy. The first thing you need to teach a child when you age, your balance sheet, you have assets, you have liability, you have capital. What's the role of the capital in the business?
Yes.
Capital is supposed to be appreciated. So the pocket money is
capital.
I can equate it to be a capital you're giving to that child in the future. So because I can give an example. If you give your child a pocket money, you're also teaching the child to make decisions. Because that pocket money, you won't be the one to tell, buy chocolate, buy this. The child will learn how to make an informed decision on need and want. So the child at that point will be able to understand that, I think daddy did not buy a set of massage for me. It's for drawings. And then I have pocket money and my pocket money can do it. At that time, that massage is a need for him.
Yes.
He can do it. So I believe so much in giving the children pocket money. And if you just give them that freedom, even if they have to spend it on wrong thing, there's always a lesson to learn. Because it's good to make that mistake while growing up, and to make it in the future when you don't have that guidance around you. So allow them to make that mistake and you'll be the guidance for them. So give them pocket money and encourage it. It's fine.
So I'm not saying it has to work.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't communicate it the way I actually meant it. So I mean that if I'm going to be giving you pocket money, you won't feel like you're entitled to it. So you're not be like, okay, next month I must get this thing because it is my right.
Yeah, I get you.
There'll be this understanding that it's because I'm doing something. You may not necessarily be working to earn it, but you know that I am getting this because of this.
Okay.
So that there'll be like, anytime you want to spend that, you have to know that it's because of this work I put into it. That is not necessarily, working in like a salary thing.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Definitely.
I agree with that.
Definitely.
So, one thing I found to be a sense of entitlement.
Yes.
Nobody will hear anything.
Yeah, it's very annoying sometimes.
So, in as much I encourage pocket money, but also teach them that it's not your right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I can tell them to do. I can tell them to do.
Exactly.
And if you have to do, you must earn it. You must earn it.
Well, yeah.
So you must earn it. So there are other ways you can also tie their pocket money to. You can tie into their behavioral pattern in the house. If you say anything that probably each child has done, say, okay, this thing costs 10 naira, and your pocket money is 20 naira. I'll get a discount. I'll move 1 naira from your pocket money. So by so doing, the child will feel the effect. And tomorrow, that child will be a guardian too. If anybody want to come, say, please don't go, because if anything happens, my own pocket money, daddy. So you're teaching their child
Value.
Value for money,
And nothing is free.
how to earn that pocket money. Not the money just somewhere, you just plug and play. No. You must earn the pocket money.
Yeah, very important. So my next question for Regina. What age do you think you'll start learning that you feel is, if the opportunity presents itself, they should start working?
What?
The minimum age. The minimum.
Oh my god. Okay. I will say secondary school. That is where the earning.
So what age in secondary school?
Okay, because there are two aspects to this thing, right? When I actually worked to earn was, I think, after my junior secondary school.
Okay.
I think I got one or two deals to teach children primary 5, 6, preparing for common entrance.
Okay. So what age was that?
I think I was 11, 12.
Wow.
So I was a rich 11-year-old or 12-year-old.
You're a very millionaire. Wow.
Of course, they had to approach my parents and consent and all that. But one thing I really appreciate about my parents that time was that they didn't take the money from me, because you have worked for this thing. So it's your money, you've earned it. It's like, if you want to spend it on anything, feel free.
Yeah.
Because for you to actually feel like you want to work, not because we compelled you to, but you feel like you can give value to get something, then by all means, this is your reward.
Yeah.
So that was the actual work to get.
So you had like your first working experience. I mean, she's a very wow, 11 years, 12 years. So with that in mind, it's more like your kids are going to work. What is the ideal age? What would you say is the ideal age?
I don't want to be too high on this.
Would you say
Okay. I'll just say after secondary school they can work, because I did that.
I agree. And I don't have age per se to earn money. First of all, you need to earn the money has to be first of all internal. Then when I see you're mature enough to earn, or your craft is mature enough to be sold outside to earn something, can let you go.
So what age are you looking at?
Today now, so children 6 years, they start making money outside with their craft.
So what age are you looking at?
So it depends on the child. How the age? It's like meeting the child.
So Tom Brown, let me see this.
Why range?
What range? Age. We're looking for an age, because I think it's important to say this, because it's more of, when you give age brackets, there's 0 to 6, there's 7 to 11. Those are broad ranges, right? But when you're looking like a specific age, it helps us narrow down the conversation, right? So for the sake of this conversation, what do you think is the ideal age for your children to earn?
I will be specific. I'll use this word. What is being equal? The development of the child, the child IQ, everything intact with my child.
Yeah.
Upstate senior secondary school from 13 is fine.
From 13. Wow. Okay. I don't share any of the sentiments here.
Why?
I just have that on record.
But there's a disclaimer to it.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's an exception to it.
Yeah.
Depends on what the child going to earn from. So if like the content creation.
No, so
those one fine.
Earning, you're responsible for, and like what she said, I like the context that she gave. She is responsible. I'm not talking about testing toys on YouTube. That one, that your parents are making money from you. You are not earning that money, right? I'm talking about you have engaged yourself as a child on the productive endeavor.
18 plus.
So 18 plus. Oh,
yes. Wow.
So I believe that essentially starts working. In the context of my child, my son will be entering, finishing primary school by 9. So he should start working. So that's what that looks like for me. Is you are in the family business and you are doing bookkeeping. You must earn something.
No, this is like internal. That was telling you about. This is like.
So that's what I'm saying. You are responsible.
We're talking about external.
You don't know my family business. You don't know if you are forward facing or even outside of this name.
The point I was driving at is
like an external employer.
An external employer.
You are not the parent employing the child.
No, okay, so that's what I'm saying. I'm not there to even be responsible for him. So what that looks like for me is like, So I believe in, obviously he'll be getting a range of skills over a period of time, maybe 1-2 months over summer period. So we're looking at, if you're not doing, you're a greeter at the bank, or you're not doing like you're running, because right now he's doing programming and coding. So he's doing like spreadsheets, bookkeeping as a
Interesting.
9,
No, it's good. It's good.
because I need you to imbibe responsibility. That's important and that's key for me, because I think that is a very major starting point to start getting that mindset that I need you to have for the future. I believe in training children that you're not going to be there forever.
True.
So that's just for me where it starts from, and that starts from summer is loading. So that's what we're looking at. So we've had a very engaging conversation today. Just to wrap up our conversation, any final words from our most amazing, engaging guests today? Regina, let me start with you. What do you think for the conversation for the parents that don't know where to start? I think that's where we'll start from. They don't know where to start in terms of financial literacy for their children. They're intentional about raising informed kids for the next generation. What do you think?
Okay, start now.
Start now.
Compared to before, there are loads of information out there that you can easily have access to.
Yeah.
Get yourself armed with them, because I think the easiest way to pass this information on is parents. So start now, build you so that you'll be able to raise informed children. I'm saying I'm ready for that first off. So yeah,
we agree with you. We support you. Thank you. All right, so Tambra, what do you think?
Well, I'll say the better time was yesterday, but the best time is now.
Yeah.
So start now to use the concept of financial literacy to your children. Make it be part of you, and you never can tell your children will just pick it up from you. Because they watch you and they see you as an embodiment of knowledge to them. Sure. Make it now.
All right. And with that, I'd just like to say thank you so much to our amazing guests. You guys have been so wonderful today. You've shared your hearts, you've shared your experiences, you've shared very, very important technical conversations that needed to be had. I mean, like we said, we are trying to raise the next generation to be better. And we're intentional about raising more informed kids. Okay, so to our amazing guests, just say another thank you. The information we had here today was priceless. And our listeners, thank you so much for your undivided attention. Our social media handles are going to be in the description box as well as on the screens. So please do well to like, share, and also comment. Don't forget to subscribe. Very important. So let's raise a generation of very informed children. Thank you. God bless.